The Weaver's Golden Thread in the Haunted Village, an immersive supernatural tale for English learners. Welcome to Mumtahina's English Academy, where learning English becomes exciting, natural, and enjoyable. Through captivating stories, listening practice, vocabulary building, and speaking tips, you'll improve your English step by step. Whether you're a beginner or advanced learner, you're in the right place. Let's learn, grow, and succeed together. The Weaver's Golden Thread in the Haunted Village. Deep within the mist of Oakhaven, a loom spins gold from nothing but thin air. But the cost of this treasure is a terrifying curse. As we follow Silas into the heart of this haunted village, you will encounter ancient secrets, spectral whispers, and a mystery woven through centuries of sorrow. The villagers had spoken of a golden thread that appeared from nowhere, shimmering like sunlight trapped inside silk. Yet anyone who profited from it eventually vanished into the fog. No one knew whether the loom was a blessing or a curse. What they did know was that a ghostly weaver still worked long after death, and the mist seemed determined to protect its secret. Silas had traveled for days before he finally reached Oakhaven. The village lay hidden between dark hills and ancient forests, where the sun rarely pierced the thick blanket of mist that covered the land. By the time he arrived, evening shadows had already stretched across the narrow lanes. The cottages stood silent, their windows dark and watchful. It seemed as though the village had been abandoned years earlier, yet faint wisps of smoke curled from several chimneys. Before Silas had entered the square, he had noticed that even the birds had avoided the place. An unsettling stillness hung in the air, broken only by the distant creak of wood and the whisper of wind through skeletal branches. The traveler tightened his cloak and approached the village well. There, an elderly woman sat alone, staring into the fog. Her eyes widened when she saw him. "You should not stay after sunset," she warned quietly. "I seek the loom that weaves gold," Silas replied. The woman's expression darkened. "Many have sought it. None have left richer. Most have not left at all." Her warning echoed through the square as several villagers emerged from their homes. Their faces were pale with fear. One man explained that generations earlier, Oakhaven had been renowned for its skilled weavers. Their fabrics had been treasured throughout the kingdom. Among them had lived a master craftsman named Elias Thorne, whose talent surpassed all others. According to legend, he had become obsessed with creating perfection. He worked day and night, desperate to weave something that would make his name immortal. One stormy evening, a mysterious stranger had arrived at his cottage. No one knew where the traveler had come from. Some claimed he was a wandering sorcerer. Others believed he was something far older and darker. Whatever the truth, he had offered Elias an extraordinary gift. With a single enchanted loom, he could spin pure gold from empty air. At first, the villagers said it seemed like a miracle. The thread shimmered brighter than treasure. Wealth flowed into Oakhaven. But every gift has its price. Silas listened carefully as the villagers described the tragedy that had followed. Elias had grown increasingly isolated. Strange lights had flickered from his workshop throughout the night. Villagers passing near his cottage had heard voices speaking from within, though no visitors had entered. Then people began disappearing, one by one. Neighbors, merchants, and travelers vanished into the mist. Eventually, Elias himself disappeared, yet the sound of weaving continued from his cottage every night. "The loom still works," whispered the old woman, "and the weaver still waits." Curiosity overcame caution. After nightfall, Silas followed a winding path toward the edge of the village. The fog thickened around him, curling through twisted trees like pale fingers. Before long, he spotted a small cottage standing alone among the shadows. Its roof sagged with age, and ivy covered much of its stone walls. Yet a faint golden glow shone through the cracks in the shutters. As Silas approached, he heard the rhythmic clacking of a loom. The sound was steady and relentless, as though it had never stopped. Pushing open the creaking door, he stepped inside. The room was illuminated by hundreds of golden threads, stretching across a massive loom. They glimmered like strands of captured starlight. Dust drifted through the air, sparkling in the eerie glow. At the center of the workshop sat a lone figure. The weaver was working continuously. His hands moved across the loom with unnatural precision. He seemed almost human until Silas noticed the translucent outline of his body. The figure flickered like candlelight reflected in water. His face was pale and worn by sorrow. For several moments, neither spoke. Then the spectral weaver slowly lifted his gaze. "You should not have come," he said. His voice sounded distant, as though it were traveling across centuries. "Are you Elias Thorne?" Silas asked. "I was." The ghost resumed weaving. Golden thread continued emerging from nowhere, winding itself onto the loom. As he watched, Silas realized something disturbing. The thread was not appearing from empty air. Tiny streams of silver mist were drifting toward the loom and transforming into gold. "What is this?" he asked. The apparition's expression filled with grief. "My punishment." For hours the ghost explained his story. Long ago he had accepted the stranger's bargain. The enchanted loom could indeed create gold, but it required a hidden source. The mist surrounding Oakhaven was not natural. It was composed of stolen life essence drawn from living souls. Every thread of gold represented a fragment of someone's spirit. At first, Elias had not understood the cost. He had been blinded by ambition. While he had been weaving magnificent cloth, the curse had already been spreading through the village. The more gold he produced, the thicker the mist became. The thicker the mist became, the more souls it consumed. When Elias finally discovered the truth, he had tried to destroy the loom. But the enchantment was too powerful. The stranger had bound his soul to the machine forever. Death offered no escape. "I have been weaving for over 300 years, Elias said softly. "Each thread reminds me of my failure." Silas stared at the shimmering fabric stretching across the workshop. Suddenly he noticed faces hidden within the golden cloth. Faint images appeared and vanished among the threads. Villagers, travelers, and children lost long ago. The trapped souls. A chill ran down his spine. "There must be a way to end this," he insisted. The ghost nodded slowly. "There is, but no one has ever been willing to pay the price." Outside, the wind howled against the cottage walls. The loom continued clattering while shadows danced across the room. Elias explained that the curse had originated from a single golden thread hidden deep within the loom. It was the first thread ever woven and the anchor of the enchantment. If it were removed, the curse would unravel completely. However, the person who pulled it free would absorb centuries of trapped sorrow and pain. Many had attempted to claim the treasure. None had dared sacrifice themselves. Silas approached the loom carefully. The golden fabric shimmered before him like liquid sunlight. Somewhere within its countless strands lay the thread that held everything together. As midnight approached, the cottage began trembling. The mist outside pressed against the windows. Whispering voices filled the room. The trapped souls had awakened. They seemed to sense that the curse was nearing its end. Silas searched frantically through the woven patterns. His eyes traced thousands of glittering strands. Some twisted like rivers, others crossed one another in impossible designs. Then he saw it. One thread shone brighter than all the rest. It pulsed with an eerie heartbeat. "The anchor," Elias whispered. Immediately, the loom reacted. The entire workshop shook violently. Golden threads whipped through the air like living snakes. The spectral faces within the cloth screamed. The curse was defending itself. Silas grabbed the glowing strand. A wave of agony surged through him. Memories flooded his mind. He saw villagers vanishing into fog. He felt centuries of loneliness. He witnessed Elias's regret, fear, and despair. Every sorrow absorbed by the loom crashed into him at once. For a moment, he nearly released the thread. But he held on. The room erupted in blinding light. Wood splintered, windows shattered. The mist swirled around him like a storm. With one final effort, Silas pulled. The golden thread snapped free. An immense silence followed. The loom stopped. For the first time in centuries, the relentless clacking ceased. Golden fabric unraveled across the room. Thousands of threads dissolved into sparkling dust. The trapped faces emerged from the cloth, transformed into radiant figures. One by one, they drifted upward like stars ascending into the night sky. Outside, the mist began to fade. Moonlight poured through the broken windows. Elias stood motionless before the ruined loom. The spectral chains that had surrounded him vanished. His form became brighter, more solid. "Thank you," he said. Tears shimmered in his eyes. For centuries, he had carried the burden of his mistake. Now the weight had finally been lifted. The ghost turned toward the rising souls. "They are free," he whispered. "And so are you," Silas replied. A peaceful smile crossed the weaver's face. Then his figure dissolved into countless sparks of golden light. The sparks drifted upward and disappeared among the stars. When dawn arrived, Oakhaven looked different. The oppressive fog had vanished completely. Sunlight illuminated the village square for the first time in living memory. Birds returned to the trees. The air felt lighter, as though the land itself had awakened from a nightmare. The villagers gathered outside in amazement. Many could scarcely believe what they were seeing. The old woman who had first warned Silas approached him quietly. "It is over, isn't it?" "Yes," he answered. She gazed toward the distant cottage. "My grandmother spoke of a curse. Her grandmother spoke of it too. None of us thought we would live to see this day." As the villagers celebrated, Silas prepared to leave. The treasure of Oakhaven had never been gold. Wealth had nearly destroyed the village. Instead, the true treasure was freedom, the chance to live without fear of the mist. Before departing, Silas visited the ruins of the workshop one final time. Among the ashes, he discovered a single strand of thread glowing softly in the morning sun. Unlike the cursed gold, this thread felt warm and peaceful. He smiled and placed it inside his pocket, not as treasure, as a reminder. Some gifts are worth accepting while others demand too high a price. Ambition without wisdom can become a prison, yet redemption remains possible even after centuries of mistakes. As Silas disappeared down the forest road, the village bells rang behind him. Their joyful sound echoed across the hills, carrying a message that would be remembered for generations. The curse of the golden thread was gone. The spectral weaver had found peace, and Oakhaven, at last, belonged to the living once more. Thank you for learning with Mumtainas English Academy today. I hope this lesson helped improve your English skills and confidence. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe for more engaging English content. Keep practicing every day, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next lesson.